This is her with her mom, my grandma, Mary Jane Pete. So she is from Ivanpah. And this is her. And she's over here being goofy. My mom she loved her relatives and stuff from Wyoming, all over. And that's my cousin Ivan Murphy. I think he's from Ivanpah. Yeah, he is. They've been pretty close. Yeah, at that time they just still have black and whites. We miss her. I'm Mary Allen, half Navajo and half Goshute. I live on the Goshute Reservation, so the reason why I'm sitting here doing the story is about the missing and murdered Indigenous women, plus other people. Some people had talk about. There's more even just men, women, children. I'm here to talk about my aunt Myrtle, initial J, Bear Pete, and she was from Skull Valley. First of all, my aunt, she was from what I remember when I was little, they were very close people. My grandpa, I didn't see my grandma, Mary Jane, but when I was growing up, they lived in Skull Valley, and so my aunt, they would all I remember her doing was dancing, cooking. They were with my mom, they were happy. They just prepared a lot of things, did jewelry together, beadwork, and then after that, she disappeared. And then one winter, I believe can't remember when, but I was young, I would say about 5, 6 years old. My mom and my grandpa and my dad, us kids, we drove out to Skull Valley Road, and before you hit the reservation, they stopped. And it was a cold day, and I know the snow was really high, about knee length, and my mom got out, my grandpa, and my dad said, "Stay in the car." So us kids stayed there when I didn't know why, and then I heard my mom and my grandpa crying really loud. So we all got up and looked. We're just little kids. And so I was the curious one. So I decided I was going to get out and look. So that was me. I didn't listen to my parents or my grandpa, but I knew I was going to get in trouble, but I still did it. I got out and opened the door, and I kind of looked, and I saw lots of blood on the road and on top of the snow. The snow was so white, and all I saw was red. The officers didn't clean it or do anything. They just left it there. For me now, as a dead animal, that's how they left her. So I remember that. I'll always remember that for the rest of my life. My mom and dad, my grandpa said, "Get back in the car." And I got in the car. I was in shock. And I told my brothers that there was blood all over, and they said, "Did they hit an animal?" I said, "I don't know." They didn't say anything. So my mom was crying. I could see her she was kneeling on the ground with my grandpa, crying in that blood. And my dad just stood there. So we were standing there looking in the car. They got back in the car, and they were just still crying. My grandpa was the worst. They go, "Somebody killed her, somebody killed her." And then we got home, and that's when they started talking and saying that, my grandpa was saying, I can't believe my baby, my daughter is gone. Somebody killed her. And I thought it's my aunt. And my mom goes crying and screaming too, and saying, "It's your auntie. Somebody killed her." So us kids, we didn't know what to do. We cried because they were sad, crying so hard. it was just really sad because she was a part of my mom and dad, my grandpa, our whole family actually. So yes, it is a little hard talking about it, but I'm doing it. I'm doing this because I remember my grandpa crying at nights because we used to stay with him, and he would cry. Seems like every other day for her. And your aunt, what could have been here? Your aunt could have done this. Your aunt could have done that. He always remembered her that way. She cooked the good pies. She cooked good food. She sewed. She sang. You know, my grandpa just missed that so much. So as I grew up, I noticed he was just so sad. That's what hurts the most to this day, even though he's gone. My grandpa Ivy. You know, he loved his girls because that's all he had. And my mom, she'd always, even when I got older, she'd always call me Myrt because that was my aunt's. You know, I guess that's her name that she gave her. And so sometimes if I'm laughing or joking around, she would say, "Hey, Myrt." She looks at me and she goes, "Oh, well, I mistaked you by my sister." And I go, "Why do you do that, Mom?" She says, "Well, because you remind me of her. You're funny. You do crazy things." I laugh. I go, "It's all right, Mom." She goes, "I miss my sister. We could be laughing and doing things." And yes, my mom was alone because all her sisters had passed on, her dad and her mom. So she was the only child left. So she missed her so much. You know, me and my brothers, you know, we knew she felt bad. She cried. You know, so I know the hurt that they both went through. And then they wished so hard that they could find the people that killed her. Because I know that there was not just one. I know there was several. And I know that they told me as I got older that she was dragged and she only had one shoe. You know, and she was still alive, even though she had a broken neck. Anyway, my aunt was trying to crawl home and busted shoulders, broken leg. And she crawled, and that reminded me of Wind River, that movie when it first came out. You know, and I thought, wow, maybe that's what she probably did. And it was cold in February. And I sat there and thought about it. And so yeah, she died a horrible death, even trying to survive when she was out there alone. You don't know how long she was out there. Could be at night, probably froze, you know, but she still tried to crawl home and make it home for herself. Nobody out there, no past buyers. She was just alone out there in Skull Valley. So for me, it was a really horrible death, and how could they leave her like that? You know, and I knew that these people, I knew when I look at it and see her grave, go past that road by where she was killed. I go by there every day or every other day when I'm going to the hospital or the doctor's office or get food. I pass that place and always think about what she would have done, you know, if she fought them off, or if she fought whoever off of a bunch of men, one person, who knows. My mom and grandpa would say, you know, they kept calling the Twilla County, and they just gave them a runaround, and they were just upset. Nothing happened. So years and years gone by, it was like she was just nothing. You know, she was just a person. But for my family, she wasn't a person. She wasn't just a dog or some other person. It was our family. And so for me, it's the most hardest thing. I know my other siblings don't know, but my my siblings, we knew, because we saw my mom and my grandpa go through a lot. sometimes we tell him, hey, you got mom. That's my mom, Violet. And he said, yeah, I love your mom. She's my baby. But losing a child, he used to tell me, it was the hardest thing. You know, because you suffer because you watch them grow. That's what he said to me. He goes, like you kids, you guys, you know, are going to grow up. And he goes, now I won't see her. And she did have one child, but she did have a baby, but the baby's with her. But she has another child. And at that time, she was just an infant, so she didn't really know nothing about what had happened to the mom other than people telling her stories, different kinds of stories about her, and she didn't quite know because she was just an infant when they took her. But my grandpa wanted her so bad too, because he said that would made him feel good because she was a part of my aunt's. For him just to have her in his life would have probably been good for him, but she never came around. She was not, you know, we never saw her. You know, for my grandpa, that was a big loss for him because he didn't, you know, really see her grow up, things like that. So he missed her too. He cried about it. So did my mom. But as time went on, my grandpa was getting old, and so she finally came to visit my grandpa, talked to him for a while, and then my mom. So she got to know some of us, and the girl, she has one grandkid. I mean, yeah, and so for me, my grandpa would have been happy. He lost all that from my aunt dying. So yes, her life was taken for no reason. Not sure why. Don't know what they thought about. I can say a lot of things in my mind that I could think of. I do security, so I kind of like understand, you know, and worked in the prison, so I kind of trying to understand why some people would be so hateful just to hurt someone. It's hard, and I just wish that people would educate their children so they don't grow up to be that way and be kind, kill people or animals or anything, and then people would be still around instead of doing the worst thing and take people's families away. And that's the most hardest thing. And that's why I try to help. When some of my friends tell me at the Capitol that they're going to start this missing and murdered Indigenous women, that time they asked me if I wanted to help, and I did. We passed laws. We passed the day on May 5th to have the missing, you know, so people can understand it. I mean, yes, some people may think it's a celebration, but for most of us it's just a memory of knowing that to the people and educate them that, you know, yes, people are missing and they would like to find out what happened to their siblings or their mom or their dad, anyone. They want to know. They have a missing gap. All us Native people can do, as for myself, is pray about it and try to move forward. You know, even though that she's gone, all I have to do is just keep praying, like my grandpa said, because things will show up. Things will happen. Maybe the legislature, maybe the governor, maybe anybody, you know, will help. They may not solve all the things that happen to everybody, all the Native people. They need to start standing up and understanding where we come from, because you know what, we're not animals. You know, we're human beings just the same. And for me, I can feel that because everybody means a lot. Their lives mean a lot. You take that away, they have nothing. They're lost. People are lost without their family. So yes, that's why I help them. If I have to, I'll go to the governor and talk to him about it. I talk to people, but I'll tell you one thing, the law enforcement, FBI, I guess you could say the BIA, they need to understand the laws and what's important, because if their family was missing, they would be out looking for them. And if they died, they would do the same thing. They would be looking and wanting prosecution, jail time, whatever, for their family because they're hurt. Even though we haven't had justice in our family. But I'm sure that they're gone now. And they got to pay for that crime when they see the Creator. Now my mom and dad and my grandpa knows that they know who did it. Now hopefully they can rest in peace. I don't know. All I see is memories of them crying, so I'm not in peace. But one day, with prayers, I can be at peace with Creator helping me live my everyday life for my mom and my grandpa and my dad and my brothers and sisters. And keep this awareness going because I have nephews and nieces and I don't want them to fall victim to all these things or anybody else because they don't deserve it. And be aware what's around them and teach them. Have classes or something so the kids and women and everybody will be safe. Not just Indigenous women or men, children, everybody. You got to be aware and not just be only doing non-Indian people. It doesn't matter. Even the natives, they're important also. And I just wish that it was like that, but it's like we keep fighting for our rights. And I don't like that. I don't like fighting for our rights all the time. We'd have to go out there, protest. Nobody does that. Someone kills somebody, no, they've gone. But Native people, we have to struggle to get help. Pray for last month I had to pray for the people that had violence, at the Capitol. So I went there and I prayed for them too so they can go on with their lives. So I do a lot of things up there sometimes to help the victims. And hopefully my prayers help them. And I hope everybody, when they see this, they understand and take it to their heart and pray, no matter what. Because that's all we got to keep and live. Even the people that had passed on, they've got prayers. They've said good prayers for everybody. So hold on to them. And live your life and keep on moving because that's what they want, even though they're gone. And they suffered a great deal by getting killed. They want us to move on with our lives. So keep praying. And that's what I want to say. And that's it.
That's beautiful. You hit it right on the head. Thank you for sharing that stuff because I know it's not easy,
It's hard not to relive it.
Yeah.
Let me get some tissues.
Mm.